This is Listen Lakeland, the show that keeps you up to date on all the things that make our city a great place to live, work, and play. Today's host began her career in the nonprofit sector after graduating from the University of Central Florida. As board chair of Lakeland Vision and chief development and marketing director at United Way of Central Florida, she inspires our community to give, advocate, and volunteer, identifying needs and mobilizing resources to create positive local change. Here's your host, Ileana Kniss.
Welcome to the good life.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us today for the June edition of the Listen Lakeland Show, a show highlighting people, places, initiatives, and organizations that make our community an exceptional place to call home. I'm Ileana Kniss, and I'm the board chair of Lakeland Vision. Today's show will feature a profile on early childhood education, highlighting ReadingPals, a United Way of Central Florida Success by Six program. With us today from United Way of Central Florida, I have Ruthie Teets, ReadingPals Program Manager, and Katelyn Bruce, Senior Director of Marketing. So welcome, ladies. Thank you for joining me today.
Well, thank you so much, Ileana. Yes, my name is Ruthie Teets, native Floridian and resident of Lakeland. After graduating from Florida State, go Noles, with a degree in early childhood education, I returned to serve within the Polk County school system for over 30 years. My passion has always been researching the many components of how children learn to read at the earlier stages of their education. The many strategies were used both within my classroom and as I served as a school-based reading coach, modeling lessons for new teachers. Most recently, in the 13 years, were spent at the district level assisting with curriculum development, training literacy coaches, and working with Polk County Public Schools as a senior coordinator of instruction. I retired a year ago, May 10th, and started working for United Way of Central Florida May 13th as the program manager for ReadingPals. So you're probably wondering, what is ReadingPals? ReadingPals is actually an initiative that provides volunteer mentors to help young children improve their literacy skills.
Awesome. Thank you, Ruthie. That's a great intro to who you are. And May 13th of last year, so you haven't just been with us for two weeks here. But so ReadingPals is an initiative that provides volunteer mentors to help young students improve their literacy skills. So I know that that's important to our vision and strategic plan for the Lakeland Vision is lifelong learning. So today we're going to be talking about early childhood education and literacy. So can you just give me a little bit more about how the mission of ReadingPals and how it impacts early literacy?
Yes, ReadingPals is a statewide early literacy initiative led by the Children's Movement of Florida. We actually create meaningful experiences for volunteer mentors to support students from pre-K to third grade. However, in our district, we chose to work with kindergarten students to make sure that we got them right off the bat. Our model focuses on developing those early literacy skills, building relationships and confidence, and reinforcing a love of reading. The reason we decided to go with kindergarten is because we know that in early brain development, those neurons and dendrites are making connections, and our ReadingPals play a pivotal role in strengthening those neurological connections in their brains.
There was a lot of information there. And I remember as a parent, I read to my child, and my child would memorize the books that we read to him. And it was interesting. We always thought, wow, does he already know how to read? So brain development and literacy go hand in hand. And so I know that there's critical milestones for students, right? So talk to me about as they continue to develop and you've got them early, as soon as you can read to them. You got them in kindergarten. Why is third grade reading proficiency such a critical milestone for students?
Well, that's a really good question. And it's an extremely important milestone that students do go through. What happens is, in accordance with the Florida scorecard, Polk County's percentage of students who achieve level 3 or above in the third grade English language arts portion of the test of the students' thinking has improved from 42% to 49%, which is fantastic, and we're very proud of that movement. But what happens, though, is children who are not reading proficiently by the end of third grade are 4 times more likely to drop out of high school. And there's a reason for that. Reading is the most crucial academic skill because it is the foundation for learning. The ability to read by third grade is critical to a child's success in school, lifelong learning potential, and their ability to contribute to the nation's economy and its security. Experts tell us that a child's ability to read at grade level by third grade is the single greatest predictor of future success, because this is when they make a transition from learning to read to learning to reading to learn. After mastering literacy skills in earlier grades, third graders become better and more independent readers. Third grade reading focuses on teaching kids how to think and talk about what they read in a deeper and a more detailed way. Meanwhile, they have other content areas, classes in science, social studies, and math, and all of these also rely on a more textual analysis of what they're reading. So the struggling readers begin to fall further and further behind in these subjects as well. Thus, the critical need for the children to be independent readers by the time that they are finished with third grade.
That's great information. I know that there's a lot of data, a lot of information, I'm sure that was part of how Reading Pals got started. And I know Reading Pals is a program, not just locally, but throughout the state as well. Tell me how Reading Pals got started here and how has it grown over the years?
So yes, Reading Pals actually, there's always a why. There's always a reason why something starts. And one of the things that Carol Jenkins Barnett and her husband Barney Barnett worked in conjunction with the local school districts, early learning coalitions, children's services councils, and the Children's Movement of Florida to start this initiative, which began in 2012. When I was a school-based reading coach at Purcell Elementary and Mulberry, I had firsthand witness of the actual program in work. Our kindergarten team at Purcell has been part of the program for 13 years. When it started, it was here in our backgrounds, and it has expanded to 15 Florida United Way and other nonprofit services servicing 20 districts across our state. So it has grown tremendously. And with that growth, we needed to have continuity. And in order for the continuity to be there, that's where the children's movement comes in, to make sure that across the state of Florida, we have all children are gaining what the things that they need with early learning.
Yeah, that's probably a whole nother show, just the children's movement and what they're doing in communities. I want to go back to your experience as a teacher or an educator and seeing firsthand Reading Pals at work. Can you share maybe some personal thoughts and feelings about what it was like and the effects that you saw?
It was actually really an amazing experience because I had the opportunity to observe the volunteers working with the two students. And as they were reading with them, they would have it was like just a natural conversation and questions before they read, during, and after reading the text. But more than anything, they were developing a relationship and a rapport with the children. And they just loved it. They would laugh and have so much fun as the reading pal would bring that book to life. They would use different voices for the different characters within the text. And as as the book was coming to life, the children would a lot of times there's a lot of repetition happening within books at that age. And so they would join in with them. And then afterwards, they came up with such amazing activities that they could do to help to solidify what they had learned about the book and the content thereof.
Did you notice that when you had children who had a mentor through Reading Pals, that other kids wanted a reading pal, and how does that work?
Yes, it's actually funny. My husband, Mike Teets, was actually working this year at Willow Oak, and he's always been in business his whole entire life. And he walked in the first day, and he whispers to the teacher, listen, I've never done this before and I'm a little nervous. And she said, it's okay. I've never taught kindergarten before. She had taught other grade levels, but not kindergarten. So as he got into it and got used to working with the children, what happened was over time, the minute he would walk in the door, the other children that weren't even reading pals of his would say, oh, Mr. Teets, and they would hug him. And so there were times when, of course, we want to make sure that we are respectful of the teacher, but every now and then he would read with the entire class because the entire class was just full of energy and wanted to do the many things that reading pals were doing.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's interesting also that I think that a child almost gets some of the benefit, but the volunteer is getting a lot of interaction and benefit as being a mentor. Can you talk a little bit about what that's like sometimes for the volunteers and your mentors and what you hear from them?
Yes, they actually get just as much out of it as the children do, if not more. They look so forward to every single time they get together with the children, and it becomes part of their weekly routine, and they're with them for an hour. They have 30 minutes with two children and then 30 minutes with another set of children. And as they're working together and getting to know each other, that was another thing that was really cool, is that because they get to have the same students, they really have that opportunity to make those relationships and bonds. And it just made it so endearing. One of the reading pals shared with me that at the end of each session, she would look into the child's eyes and she would say to them, you are important and you are so very smart. And do you know why? And then they would respond, because I am a good girl. And they would just beam from, their face would light up and they would walk off and they would kind of stand up taller. And it made them have such a good feeling about themselves as human beings. It was wonderful.
That's amazing. I'm going to start to go into a little bit about the community impact, but I want to make sure our listeners understand what Reading Pals is. And it really is a program with the United Way of Central Florida and the school district. So the Polk County School Board has agreed to allow students to be paired up with volunteers, mentors through their Reading Pals program. So tell me how many students you typically have in a year, and also how many volunteers, and how you connect the two together.
Well, that's great, because we're actually growing as we speak. This year we had 432 students that were being served through the Reading Pals of here in United Way of Central Florida. We had 229 Reading Pal volunteers. And each year it's just growing and growing more. And I'm glad, because here in Lakeland, we're in Polk County, we're growing tremendously, leaps and bounds. And of course, with that means that the need is growing as well. And so there's no such thing as too many volunteers.
Absolutely. So right now, I'm sorry, tell me again how many schools you're in Polk County.
So this past year, we had 14 schools, but in the fall, we will have 17 schools. So we're trying to expand. And like you mentioned, Superintendent Fred Hyde does approve the schools that will take part in the program each year. I meet with the administrators, the kindergarten teachers, and there's always a school liaison, which is usually the reading coach at the school. The classroom teachers, as I meet with them, they're the ones that determine which students would benefit from this extra layer of support at the beginning of each year. So that's not my decision. It's up to the teachers themselves. And it could be for a lot of different reasons. It could be because they just need a little bit of extra TLC and they academically are great, but that one-on-one situation where they get to be with a reading pal is so important, and they look forward to it so much. And there's another thing you were asking about, things that are just really cool memories. And one of them was that there was a reading pal that had one of the students came to her and she said, Well, she looked up and she could tell that she had like little tears in her eyes. And she's, oh my goodness, are you okay today? Are those happy tears or sad tears? And she said, actually, they're happy tears. And she goes, well, what's making you so happy? And she said, because you always come.
Oh,
She could depend on that person. And that's important in today's world because everybody's super busy and doing the best they can. And research shows that on a typical day, it's lucky if a child gets 11 minutes of undivided attention from an adult.
wow. They always, or there's a quote that I often think about, and it's that your impact goes beyond measurable outcomes, right? And some of these programs and things that individuals and donors have, it's sometimes immeasurable, right? So when you talk about impact and outcomes, I know that these programs, it's crucial to have outcomes, but sometimes they're just immeasurable, right? So
Absolutely.
Can you talk about some of the measurable outcomes, though, that you have from Reading Pals and why we continue to do this program?
Of course. Each year, at the end of the year, Morgan Platt uses what is called DIME, which that stands for Data, Information, and Monitoring Evaluation. And this end-of-year report provides us with a comparative analysis of students that received Reading Pals tutoring with students in the same grade, same demographics, and compares them with the growth that that is being made on the STAR Early Literacy and the STAR Reading Assessments. Students taking part in the program did show a significant percentile and performance level increase compared to those that did not. We also saw increases in positive attendance and a decrease in behavior problems and issues. So we are keeping a radar and a lens on growth and development and making sure that the needs of the children are being met as we analyze that data. It helps us to make the program even better every time.
Sure. So there's, again, more outcomes based information that we can glean from the data that's being collected. Again, not just reading scores, but those improvements in attendance and attitude and maybe towards school and like you said, better behaviors.
Absolutely, because they have Reading Pals twice per week, 30 minutes each time. But they have such a busy week, they may not remember, I'm Mondays and Wednesdays. And so their attendance increases because they don't want to miss it. They want to make sure that they have that opportunity. And so that's where that's coming into play. And then because they have a person who's working with them and mentoring them, in addition to reading the book and learning, and they're definitely increasing their comprehension and their vocabulary development, but they're also helping them with their social, emotional, and mental, all of the things that go along with just being a good person. And yet often they can utilize how the characters within the text, how they handle a certain situation. Did they make a good choice? Did they make a bad choice? That type of thing. And have a conversation about, well, how could we make it better? And so it's so much more than just the book itself. We're really trying to make them just really good little people that are going to go out into the world and do great things.
I love that. I know that my son often talks about he had a book buddy at school and he still remembers his book buddy. Do you ever hear the students talk about, well, I remember so-and-so because they came and read with me when you're an educator? Do you remember those moments?
Oh, absolutely. It's so funny because even later, many of the Reading Pal volunteers come back year after year. And when they see the students that they've had the previous year in first grade, the next year, they'll always like wave to them and they'll wave back.
Yeah.
And it's just so sweet because they are so excited to see them because they had, really gotten to know one another.
It's a relationship that's built. Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's amazing. I love that. I love to hear that. So I know that there are big challenges in education and data collection, but what do you think some of the biggest challenges are in improving literacy rates in Florida?
Well, from the lens of Reading Pals, it's challenging to find enough volunteers for the high level of need. I mentioned a minute ago that Lakeland is growing tremendously, as is the entire population of Polk County schools. And so with that, the need is growing and growing. We want to make sure that that other 50% that are not able to read on grade level by the end of grade 3, that we are going to reduce that and make that, we want to make sure all children, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, when I think about my little, I have a grandson who's in first grade going into second grade. And I would not be okay if he was in that other 50%. And so our goal is to make sure, honestly, that 100% of our children are reading on grade level by the time they hit third grade. Because what happens is it's a domino effect. If the child is not able to read at third grade, then what happens is they're not able to read the passages that are put in front of them. They get frustrated, they stop reading, and they're not reading as much as the other children. And so then what happens is they are not gaining the vocabulary that they need so desperately for a lot of the academic language that's involved. So we really want to make sure that the children are having that opportunity to be successful and to grow as much as humanly possible. And that's why, the literacy is something that is it's at the top of the list.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know you talked a little bit about the outcomes and how you collect. Is there anything else that you want to share with the listeners about how some of the outcomes are determined for Reading Pals in specific?
So the outcomes are determined by looking and analyzing how they're performing. We also have conversations with the teachers to see how things are coming along in the classroom, and the Reading Pals are in communication, making sure that if they notice anything, then they have a sidebar conversation with the teacher. And so the communication factor is very important. We also use how they're performing in the classroom on a regular basis, and are they increasing the number of sight words that they need? Are they increasing their letter sound recognition and those type of things as the year unfolds? So those are some add-on type things that, in addition to the book, that we can do with the children to make sure that they're successful.
Now, this is kind of a sidebar because obviously I work at United Way and we work together, and I see some of the items that you put together for the Reading Pals. So the children also get books, correct,
Yes.
to take home at the beginning and the end of the year? How does that work?
Yes. The Early Learning Coalition, and of course, through the Children's Movement, and the way that the entire program is funded allows for the children to have what we call take-home books. And the take-home books are books that become part of their home library. It's extremely important that children read not only at school, but also read when they are at home with their family. And when we send the books home, I also send home some suggestions of things they could do as a parent with that book to help bring it to life and to expand upon it. And they do, Women United help to do the book bundling, because we have given at least 6,700 books out this year to the children. They receive books right before Christmas at the holiday winter break, because they're going to have some time off. And then again, right as school is ending, because they're going to have the summers off. And we want to help with to reduce that slide of kind of going backwards a little bit when they don't have something very enriching going on. So we wanted to make sure that they have books to read.
Absolutely. And that's going to be a great segue to Katelyn in just a minute. But I want to talk real quickly about how you sign up to be a volunteer, a quick overview of what the training looks like, and how you get involved.
Okay. So the easiest way to get involved, honestly, is we have a website, and you can just search it, Google search, United Way of Central Florida Reading Pals, and it takes you straight to the home page. You will actually see a video of Carol Jenkins Barnett, and that gives you a little historical view. But at the bottom of that same web page, it will give you a place where you can click the link and go straight into filling out the application. The application comes directly to me electronically, and then from there, I set up a time when we can have the training. If you're a brand new Reading Pal, you do not have to be a teacher. So a lot of people think that that's the case, but no, you don't. Everything's prepared for you. The books are there. We also have inside each book are some possible questions that you can ask them, some possible activities that you can do afterwards. During the training, we go over all of those things. To sign in, they use a QR code, and I receive all that information instantaneously. So we try to make it seamless and make it easy for all of those that are just wanting to be there for the kids. And quite honestly, we really and truly encourage anybody listening today to please consider you or your business, your church, your civic club, a book club, any of the different outreaches that you're part of, and how your gifts of time and talents, or possibly those of friends and relatives, might impact the lives of students and teachers within Polk County Public Schools. And we really, if your occupation or your family responsibilities don't allow for being able to be part of once a week, part of Reading Pals, you could also help us out by getting the word out. Think of all of the contacts that you have right now on your cell phone. You have family, you have friends, you have work acquaintances. All of those people may be actually very excited to be part of Reading Pals and have that hour of time to work with children. So word of mouth is actually a great way for us to continue to grow and provide this opportunity for the children on a regular basis.
Awesome. Thank you. So you mentioned the summer slide or making sure. So Katelyn.
Good morning.
Hi. Tell me a little bit about yourself. And I know we only have a few minutes left, so we're going to rapid fire through the readathon.
All right, sounds good. So my name is Katelyn Bruce, and I'm the Senior Director of Marketing at United Way of Central Florida. I have a background in advertising, marketing, and just I'm really excited to be involved in the community here in Lakeland, member of Junior League as well. So I love being in it, being part of everything going on and trying to make a difference in the community.
Awesome. Well, welcome. Tell us a little bit about the 30-year anniversary and the readathon.
Yeah, so we've been talking about Reading Pals, and Reading Pals is actually part of the Success by 6 program at United Way. And that program has a lot of sub-programs within it. So Reading Pals is one of them. We also have the Born Learning Trails, which are trails that you can take your kids to and really interact with them. And then we have our Master Teacher program, where we have teachers who come out to early learning facilities and help guide them on how to best teach the children. And there's several other programs that fall under that as well. But this program as a whole, Success by 6, was started in 1995 by Carol Jenkins Barnett. So we are celebrating its 30th anniversary this year. So we wanted to find a way to commemorate that, celebrate it, while also really honoring its mission of early childhood education and literacy. So we are hosting a summer readathon, 30 days of reading for 30 years of Success by 6. And that is kicking off June 1st. It will run June 1st through June 30th. And we're really excited about it because it's going to help with that summer slide that we were hearing about. So it's getting kids reading over the summer while also helping to support a good cause and supporting these programs that help put resources and learning tools in the hands of parents and caregivers so that their children can keep learning.
Awesome. So tell me how you sign up to do the readathon.
So you can sign up on our website. It is at www.uwcf.org/success-by-6, or you could just Google United Way of Central Florida Success by 6, and you'll land on that landing page, and you'll have the sign up button right there. And we have some sign-up incentives, too, for anybody who wants to join. So the first 500 to sign up will be receiving a free mini tadpole treat from Jeremiah's Italian Ice.
And they can also see on the website what other prizes they can win as they sign up.
Yes, we will have some prizes that we'll be doing drawings for at the end of the month.
Well, tell me about the goal for the readathon. How many kids did you want to sign up? What's the big goal here?
Well, we actually have met our goal. We wanted 300 kids to sign up, and we have 300 children already signed up for it. So that's 300 kids who have committed to reading over the summer, who are going to be continuously learning, who are going to be turning those pages, and we're just really excited about the impact that that's going to have on these kids individually.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Katelyn and Ruthie. This was a great opportunity to learn more about early childhood literacy and a great program for the Reading Summer Slide with the Readathon. So we'd like your feedback on ideas discussed in today's show. So head on over to the Lakeland Vision website to participate in our monthly survey at lakelandvision.org.
I said, welcome to the good life.
Listen Lakeland is brought to you as a collaborative project between Lakeland Vision, the City of Lakeland, and Hall Communications, a community working together to provide an exceptional quality of life. Want to watch the show? Check out the video version at lakelandvision.org. Thank you for being with us.